Hey y'all, this is Curtis Grimes, and I want to give a shout out and a special thank you to everyone associated with TNCRadio.live.
Don't forget, you can hear all of our TNC Radio primetime shows again on our podcasts. Just go to tncradio.live/podcasts or search for tncradio.live wherever you listen to podcasts.
Do you have the tncradio.live app? It's free and easy to download. Just go to app.tncradio.live, Google Play, or the App Store. Get access to live streaming radio developed by drivers for drivers. Download the tncradio.live app today.
Come on in, everybody. It's time for the Southern Route. So what's the Southern Route all about? Well, it's about Southern stuff. Southern people, Southern music, Southern food, Southern nights, Southern traditions, nostalgia, and so much more. Hey y'all, I'm excited to be back with you for another episode of the Southern Route on tncradio.live. I am your host, Shannon Courier, and today is the first official day of summer. So I thought we would talk about some things that we do in the summer. We're going to talk about some barbecue. We're going to talk about some side dishes with that. We're going to talk about barbecue sauce. We're going to talk about some Southern desserts that people like to have. And I have two friends with me today. I have driver, owner, operator Ed and driver, owner, operator Robert. And we're going to do some anonymity on this show. So that's all I'm going to tell you about them, other than I'm going to let them give you a little bit of introduction and information about their experience in the industry. So guys, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me today. Ed, I'm going to start with you. Give us a little bit of history about your time in the industry. How did you get started?
Well, I got started in 2004. I came out of the car business and went into truck driving in 2004. Been driving ever since. Was looking for more of a steady opportunity and the pay structure with a family and time too. So I looked into trucking and started in a trucking business in 2004 and been driving ever since, and just love the industry, love the job, and love who I work with. It's been a really good pleasure experience for me so far.
Awesome. So what kind of truck do you drive? What do you haul? And tell me your favorite area to run in.
I drive a 2015 Freightliner Cascadier, and I haul a lot of dry freight in a dry box, and I love running the south. Anything south of I-40 is my running area I feel most comfortable in. Plus, everything seems to be moving a lot more smoother down here than what it does when you start going to the Midwest and East Coast. So I really enjoy just running down here in the South, and it's always been a pleasure so far.
Well, that's because you're in God's country. You're in the South.
Amen.
Everything's better down here in the South.
It sure is. People are a whole lot nicer down here, more courteous. Food is fantastic. You get the best sweet tea. I mean, you can't ask for nothing more than that, especially the food. Gosh, dog.
Well, I have to agree with you 100%, and that's why we're going to talk about that tonight. Robert, let me bring you in. Tell us how long you've been driving and what you drive, what you haul, and where you like to go.
Well, I originally got a CDL in '96 and drove for about a year and a half, and then I didn't drive for about 8 or 9 years, and then I did local stuff for about 11 years, kind of tied down with children. And once my children got old enough and kind of got a little more independent, then I took an opportunity to I actually did over the road with Hazmat Chemical for a couple of years. And for the last about 2 years, I've been doing dry van with a 2015 Peterbilt 579. I tend to get stuck in the Midwest and upstate New York and Pennsylvania, but it's just kind of the way the lanes seem to work for me and the rates. I'd really rather stay south more. Like Ed said, the food, the weather, the less traffic. I try to avoid major metropolitan areas as much as possible. Like I don't go to New York or places like that, New York City, but a little bit of everything and wherever the rates seem to be the best. That's about it.
Yeah, well, you got to go where the money is. But I can tell Robert and Ed are friends of mine. We do some, business together. Everybody knows that I talk to truck drivers a lot, and I've got to spend some time getting to know these gentlemen and a little bit about their company and how they run and what they think about things in the industry. I'm always trying to be a sponge and learn more about this industry, and you two have been helping me do that along the way, so I appreciate it and appreciate you coming on and joining me today. And we're not going to talk business today. We're actually going to talk about some fun stuff, and like I mentioned earlier, today is the official first day of summer, and so I got to thinking about, what do we do down here in the South in the summer? And I don't know if this is what everybody does in the South, but it seems to be like there's a lot of grilling and barbecuing and that kind of thing. And I thought, well, let's talk about some barbecue, because there is, some arguments across the world and across the country, I guess I should say, across the country about what state has the best barbecue. And there's a lot of, reasons behind why people choose their state. But I want to know what you guys think about barbecue. So, there's an art to it, I know. But where have you had the best barbecue? Ed, tell us where you have found the best barbecue.
I found the best barbecue in Mississippi. They absolutely had the best brisket I ever had, pulled pork, and the flavors, the sauce, the rub, the temperatures. I mean, it was just, everything was spot on. It was very, very good. And I can't remember the name. It was just a small hole in the wall. You'd think it was just a shack, but it had truck parking, and it was just loaded, and people were eating inside, eating outside, taking to-go boxes. I mean, it was like the place to be. It was just very, very delicious. It was very good.
Those hole-in-the-wall places, they usually have the best food. Sometimes you drive by and you think, oh, my gosh, do I want to stop there? But typically, that's where you find the best food.
It is. It really is. And they have it down to an art, like family generations pass down, and they keep with the same recipes, the same temperatures, the same, just like a work of art. They take really pride in their craft of smoking meat, barbecue.
Well, when you find a recipe that works and that people enjoy, you don't want to mess with it. You just want to keep what you got and make people happy.
So true, so true. I mean, like I said, it was probably a 40, maybe 45 parking spots in there, and it was just cram-packed, and even regulars and locals were around there standing outside waiting, and it was just, they just serve until they run out, and they run out every day, It was just really, it was very enjoyable. It was really, really good.
Was that a local restaurant, or were you actually at a truck stop?
It was a restaurant, but it's not very big. I think the inside probably seated maybe 15 tables, maybe. And then they had tables all around their building on the outside. And then, people were just standing up eating out of the styrofoam containers. People taking stuff back to the trucks to eat in the trucks. I mean, it was very, very busy, but very, very worth the wait. It was really good.
I think that's when you know you're at a good place, is when you got styrofoam containers to put your food in.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Robert, share with us. Go ahead.
I was going to say, now, if you want to talk about the dessert, I can tell you that. We can wait for the dessert episode, but.
Yes, we're going to be talking about some dessert, so you're going to have to tell us about this dessert at this place. All right, Robert, you got to chime in here and tell us the best place you found some barbecue.
It's really hard to pick one because there's so many different styles and types. I'm from North Carolina, so one place that comes to mind is they actually have two locations. It's called The Pit. They have a location in Raleigh, North Carolina, and a location in Durham, North Carolina. It's a old country guy that his grandfather taught him how to cook barbecue, and he actually is a farmer that raises the hogs that he serves in his restaurant. So, and he actually feeds them exactly how he wants them fed, so that they put on weight the way he wants them to grow and develop. And then he actually has his own kind of a hybrid rib cut that it's not really a baby back or a St. Louis case. He has his own style of, he likes to cut the ribs a certain way when he has them butchered. And then he has big smokers in the restaurant. He's actually been on about 3 or 4 Food Network shows. It's just really good. And he has, secret family recipe sauces and things. But there's so many good hole-in-the-wall places when you're out and about driving. In fact, I'm at one right now. There's a little truck stop here in Haiti, Missouri. I stopped in here by accident one day, and I actually thought I was at the truck stop next door because this one wasn't even in our fuel network. And come to find out, they got 2 big buildings out back, and they smoke meat out there and serve it in the store, and it's fabulous. There's a lot of variety, whether you prefer sliced, pulled, whether you prefer pork or chicken or beef. But all in all, I'd probably just have to vote the Pit as the best barbecue I've ever came across.
Awesome. And you're where is that, Haiti, Missouri? What's the name of that truck stop? We want everybody to know that so drivers can stop and experience that.
Yeah, I tell everyone that comes through here. It's on Interstate 55 at exit 19. It's called the Double Nickel. It's an independent truck stop. It's actually right beside a Pilot, which is how I wound up pulling in the parking lot by mistake. And they just have incredible, all of their sides are awesome. And they have pulled pork, brisket, ribs. They do chicken as well. Actually, tonight they were out of everything but the brisket and the chicken. They sell out every day, kind of just like all these good places tend to do that. They cook up a certain amount and then they just sell it out. And a lot of these places, like Ed was talking about, a lot of these places do a lot more takeout because they'll sell it by the pound, and people just go there and buy it to take home. This is one of my favorite places. Every time I come through here, I stop and get food because it's delicious.
All right, so we can't help you listeners out with a place in Mississippi. You'll have to stumble upon a hole in the wall. But if you're out in Missouri, in Haiti, Missouri, stop by the Double Nickel and give them a try. Guys, we're going to take a break. We're going to be right back after we hear from some of our sponsors right here on tncradio.live.
It's Landline Now, followed by Steve Summers' Overnight Drive every night on tncradio.live starting at 11 p.m. Eastern and 10 p.m. Central.
Hope Savara here. Tune in every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on tncradio.live for my new show, The Driver Life Podcast. From your feet to the food you eat, from cellular health to how your cell phone affects your health, from how you move to improving your sleep. I believe it's the small, simple changes that lead to the big results in your life so that you can feel good again. We cover it all here on the Driver Life Podcast. Every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on tncradio.live.
Kathy DeCaro is nothing short of amazing. She not only drives the world's biggest truck as a heavy equipment operator in northern Alberta, Canada. She's an international motivational speaker and the author of Dream Big, an autobiography about overcoming a lifetime of trauma and abuse that led to dreams of success. Kathy inspires people the world over to change their lives and improve their self-worth. Her book will change your life. She's passionate about personal growth and believes anyone can change their circumstances and overcome their obstacles if they believe in themselves. Her life will amaze you and seriously inspire you. Be sure to order a copy of her book, Dream Big, on Amazon.com. I'm Shelley Johnson with Kathy Tuccaro. You can hear us Tuesdays on tncradio.live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Women Road Warriors. And don't miss Steve Summers' Overnight Drive right here on tncradio.live, weeknights midnight to 5 a.m. Eastern. Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Welcome back to the Southern Route on tncradio.live. I'm your host, Shannon Courier, and we are back with my special guests, owner-operators Ed and Robert, and we're excited to share with you all some thoughts on barbecue since it's the first official day of summer. We've shared about a couple of places, a hole in the wall that you'll just have to find by yourself in Mississippi, and the Double Nickel in Haiti, Missouri. But if you're looking for some good barbecue in North Carolina, the Pit is over there. So I got some questions about barbecue. Everybody has their own type of barbecue that they like. I know that I do. And I'll just be honest with you. When I think barbecue, it is shredded pork. Pulled pork. That is barbecue to me. If I say I want barbecue, don't bring me brisket. It's just not the same thing. Now, I love me some shredded chicken too, but brisket is not the same thing. And I know one's pork and one's beef, and that's the difference there. But I get that. But sometimes people say, do you want some barbecue? In my brain, I'm thinking shredded pork. But they have brisket. So that's what they bring. And I'm like, I'm not eating that. Okay. So I got to know, what kind of barbecue do you like the best? When you think barbecue, what do you think?
I like brisket, and I like sliced or pulled. Either way, I like a pork butt too for sandwiches or another barbecue or something like that. But I love brisket. I just like the texture, the flavor, the smoke ring, the smoky taste. It seems to hold a little bit stronger in a brisket than it does in a pulled pork, in my opinion, anyways. But the taste is more pleasurable for me.
Robert, what you got over there? What's your opinion?
It's funny that you ask that because from North Carolina, everyone considers barbecue, like you said, to be pulled pork. Getting out and about and traveling around the country, you find out that barbecue means a lot of different things in different parts of the country. To me, it's still going to be pork, although I have learned I really do like good brisket that's cooked well. But I have to say, pulled pork shoulder is probably what I think of when I use the word barbecue. Other things are kind of like maybe grilled or smoked, but when you say barbecue, it's kind of it's pulled pork with some type of sauce on it. That's basically what I think of.
I agree. That's what I think of too. And I have to be honest with you. I've had barbecue from lots of places, and Alabama has fantastic barbecue. My favorite place is actually in Decatur, Alabama. It's Big Bob Gibson Barbecue, and I grew up eating that, and I absolutely love it. And they have an amazing vinegar sauce that they use on theirs, and it's not the barbecue sauce that's like Sweet Baby Ray's that's thick. It's not like that at all. It's a real thin, kind of watery vinegar-based sauce, and that is my absolute favorite. And I have never smoked or grilled my own, butt or anything. But if I'm making something like that, y'all are going to laugh, but I'll do it in a crock pot. Yeah, I cook it in a crock pot, and I actually use Dr. Pepper to pour over it because it kind of crisps on the outside of it, and it actually gives it a really good flavor. That's probably just a Southern thing to put Dr. Pepper on your butt in the crock pot, but that is how I do it at home because I don't have a smoker or anything. So, interesting little fact about how Shannon makes barbecue at home.
Well, we need to do a crowdfunder to get you a smoker. You're missing out.
Yeah.
I usually have those, our local churches or the schools, they have fundraisers where they've been smoked. So I usually go buy one. So I can't say that I make it a lot at home or anything. I just go buy one that's made by somebody who knows what they're doing. That's how it is. And, tell me about the sauce. People like all kinds of different sauces and rubs and that kind of thing. What do you use for yours? And if you're going to make a sandwich or something, what kind of sauce are you using?
Well, myself, I make my own sauce. And I like a sweet heat, something that's going to hit you in the back end more of the heat part. I make my own.
You're saying we got a chef in the house. That's what you're saying?
Well, no. I like to do and try stuff on my own, and I find something that worked, and everybody seems to like it in the family. And I usually make 2 batches, one with the sweet heat and one with just the sweet, because I have 2 younger children that just don't like the little kick in the back of the throat after.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, I make my own.
You got a secret ingredient that you'd have to kill us if you told us?
No, actually, not really. This is the heat part to it. I'll tell you. I make mine with my rub spices mixed in with it, and then I dice up some jalapenos, boil that water for the sauce, and then there's a seasoning out there. It's called La Mama jalapeno spice. And it's a powdery form, and I just sprinkle about 1.5 teaspoons into that sauce and stir it in with it, and that's where you usually get a little bit more of your kick in the after the heat first, and then usually get your sweet coming in behind it. But yeah, that's what I put in there. But yeah, I just boil the jalapenos, cut them up, leave seeds and all, and strain it, and then use that water to use it for the base of the mixing of the barbecue sauce.
Robert, I bet you got something totally different from that coming from North Carolina. I bet you cook totally different than that.
One of my favorite sauces is kind of a vinegar with a little bit of mustard in it and spices. My brother used to do a lot of competition cooking, and he had a really, really good sauce he actually won awards with. He never would give me a recipe for it because he spent a lot of time and money kind of tweaking it and perfecting it. He took a great grandmother's barbecue sauce and just spent a lot of time and effort doing a lot of different reductions. He said if I really wanted to learn the recipe for it, I had to come and spend all night with him while he made it. He would make it up like about a 3-gallon pot whenever he was cooking. And people always told him that he should try, he should bottle it up and try selling it, but the way spices are, he always said he'd have to charge $20 a quart for it, to make any money, because by the time you add all the seasonings in, it gets pretty expensive to make that stuff up in quantity. And here you get into the barbecue versus grilling versus smoking, where people want to argue about different meats. My favorite thing to do with like beef is to use like a Lee & Perrins about 1 to 2 with just a plain French's yellow American mustard. There's something about that flavor profile that just works really good together. The sweetness of the Lee & Perrins and then the acidity of the mustard, and the mustard actually acts as a tenderizer because it kind of helps break down the protein a little bit. That works really well for me on beef.
By Lee & Perrins, in case anybody's not recognizing that name, you're talking about Worcestershire sauce, right?
Yes, depending on how you choose to pronounce it. I think Julia Childs
or if you're, or if you're from the South, I said that properly, but it's Worcester sauce.
Yeah, I try not to pronounce that very often because usually someone's going to argue with you about how you pronounced it. So,
it's just Worcester. We just leave off the shire altogether down here.
Yeah, Worcester. We would say Worcestershire or Worcestershire. I think they would say Worcestershire. The country people in North Carolina would say Worcestershire. But the Lee & Perrins is absolutely the only. It was the original brand. If you get a different brand, most of them are very acidic and they don't really work well. The Lee & Perrins has a really sweet undertone and gives you a better flavor. Just my personal opinion. I mean, I'm sure someone would argue with that, but like when you're talking about barbecue, you have a major time investment, in cooking a shoulder or a brisket or any type of large. It's kind of an all-day event or an all-night and half-the-day event. And a lot of times I'm doing more grilling rather than, unless you're cooking for a lot of people, it's just not worth it to do a large piece of meat. So I tend to do more steaks and bratwurst and things like that, as opposed to traditional barbecue when I'm at home.
Ooh, on the bratwurst. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Now, if you cook them right,
No.
they're really, really good. You got to have the
No,
right
you
kind.
cannot cook those things right. They are not good ever under any circumstances.
Shannon, you
No.
lose your Southern card again.
I'm
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I don't know that bratwurst are really Southern. We're dealing with a German sausage that's more commonly found in New England ballparks, I think.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. See,
That's
that's
the
not
mental
Southern.
image I
That's
get.
not Southern. Well, I got
I'm
about
sorry,
30 seconds for I got to take a break, but I got to have a quick answer to this. When you make a barbecue sandwich, what do you put on your barbecue sandwich?
Coleslaw.
Oh, coleslaw. All right. Ed,
I
what you got?
usually just put the sauce, and I like the flavor. I don't want to try to kill the flavor what's already there. I try to just let the flavor speak for itself. So I put a little bit of barbecue sauce on there, and
I was hoping one of you would say mayonnaise because I got to know what kind of mayonnaise you use.
Oh, there's only one kind.
Oh, of course there is.
Duke's. You have to use Duke's.
Yes, yes. My Southern friend.
But there's not
Duke's
another.
is the only mayonnaise.
You can't be using
You
that
don't even know what Duke's is, do you, Ed?
Well, I don't think we have Duke's in my area.
I promise you do.
Hyman.
Oh, what? Hellman's, that's not even mayonnaise.
It says on the jar it is real mayonnaise, but I don't buy it. I've had that already.
That's the closest thing we got in my area to real mayonnaise. We don't have the Duke's.
I'll send you some Duke's. Duke's is made.
Yeah, we're gonna have to send a shipment of Duke's.
I don't know where that Hellman's is made.
There you go.
All right, I'm going to pop out for a quick.
Whip. I'm not a whipper.
Oh, yeah, no whippers. No Miracle Whip. That is forbidden, forbidden, forbidden. All right, guys, I'm going to hop out to a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the sides that go with barbecue because I have a feeling y'all aren't going to like one of the things that I have to say. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on tncradio.live on the Southern Route.
I'm Hope Savara, your host of the Driver Life Podcast, every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on tncradio.live.
The Hot Shot Secret Facebook page gets a lot of robust Q&A about diesel problems and their solutions. We listen to our customers. Here are their words straight from their mouths about Hot Shot Secret Everyday Diesel Treatment. Our fans call it EDT.
I'm John Sharp, a.k.a. Jay Sharp from Newburgh, Pennsylvania. Using EDT, my local fuel mileage went to average of 22 to 23, and my highway MPG went to 26 to 28.
Hi, I'm Danny. I'm from Arizona. I drive a 02 Ford Excursion. I use EDT at every fill up, and my mileage went from 12.5 miles per gallon to 14 miles per gallon. I highly recommend it.
Everyday Diesel Treatment delivers a 6-in-1 premium fuel treatment for every fill up, every time.
Everyday Diesel Treatment is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Reverse Gears move to Thursdays at 8, 7 Central on the Travel Network channel, tncradio.live. You're invited to ride through the stories of and music that made the memory makers we call the soundtrack of life at our new time, 8, 7 Central, Thursdays on tncradio.live.
Catch Landline Now every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, along with an encore presentation weekdays at noon, right here on tncradio.live.
Okay, y'all, we're back on the Southern Route on tncradio.live with Ed and Robert talking all things barbecue on this first day of summer. And I just wanted to give a little bit of information about Duke's mayonnaise, since that's where we ended on the last segment. For people that don't know what Duke's mayonnaise is, if you haven't tried it, if you're coming through the South, get you some, or you can probably order it online and have it shipped to you. But just a little history on Duke's mayonnaise. It was actually in 1917 that the Duke's Mayo legacy began. Eugenia Duke of Greenville, South Carolina, made sandwiches in her home kitchen to sell to Army canteens during World War I. Everybody loved it so much that she got letters years later after they had left the camp begging her for her recipe for her spread that she put on the sandwiches. So she started bottling that product on its own in 1923 in Greenville, South Carolina, and that's where I was born. I only lived there till I was 3. I don't remember much. But there is the road that my parents lived on when I was born didn't have a name, and they did name it Shannon Lane. So that's kind of cool. There's a Shannon Lane in Greenville, South Carolina, the home of Duke's mayonnaise. So I'm pretty proud of that. All right. So now we got to talk some details on the barbecue and how you cook your barbecue. Everybody's got a technique. Everybody's got a grill or a smoker that they think is the best. So you guys share some of your technique, share about what tools you use, what rubs you use. Give us all the good stuff.
Well, for me, I use a stick burner. I use real wood. I use a barrel smoker. I call her Old Smoke. She's been around in our family for about 7-8 years now, and I love to smoke shoulders and briskets and quarters and pretty much everything, whatever I can get on there. And it's an all day ordeal, but you just can't beat it. Low and slow, and just let it just absorb as much as it will take. And then on a brisket, when it hits 165 in that stall stage, I wrap it up in peach butcher paper, wrap it in towel, and put it in the cooler for about an hour or 2. Let it finish cooking off, and put it back on the old grill or smoker, and let it grill away, and just get that heat back up until it's done. And it usually takes about an hour and 15 minutes per pound. So kind of do the math. If you get a 15 pounder, you're looking at almost 16 and a half hours, 17 hours. So, but it's a good day to drink beer and just sit there and watch her pearl. Usually start around about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and we usually have it done right around about dinner time, about 5 or 6.
Well, that's a lot of sitting and cooking, a lot of beer drinking by the time it's done.
It's a lot of beer drinking. It's a lot of beer drinking. Yes, but it's enjoyable.
Do you have like a special rub? You already said you had a special rub. You have a rub that you put on that, right?
Yes, I use a good sweet rub that I make, again, with a little bit of that Slappy Mama jalapeno seasoning with it too, and do the base with a mustard rub, and then put the seasoning and the rub on there, and then let her cook until she hits about 165. And then if I wrap it up butcher paper, I'll bring it back up to 200 per slice and about 225, 228. And I'll do pulled for my wife. My wife loves pulled brisket and pulled pork. But yeah, if we're doing that, I'll do half pulled pork and I'll do the other half slice.
That Slappy Mama, that's another good southern seasoning, there in Louisiana.
It's good. It's really good. But yeah, that's what I use, and that's how I do it, and I love to use hickory, and I also like to use pecan. Pecan's my favorite wood to smoke with, but every once in a while, we'll do oak or cherry, but most of the time it's usually hickory or pecan. So you don't just get that whole bitter taste,
That sounds really good, and it sounds like a fun day sitting around hanging out, talking and cooking, and just a good day to do some visiting.
That's right. It is. All the family gets together in the afternoon. Usually I get up real early, so they usually start coming out in the afternoon. My wife will sit with me or the kids, or if we have friends over there where we're having a big dinner or something like that, they'll come over early and we'll sit out there and just drink beer or Crown and Cokes or till dinner's done. And then we'll sit down as a family and friends and just have a nice little feast,
Nothing better than sitting around a good meal with family and friends. That's what it's all about. So how do they do it over there in North Carolina, Robert?
I used to do, like Ed's talking about, with a burn barrel and an offset smoker box barrel grill. And I've gotten lazy, and I've switched over to a pellet grill. It's really hard to beat a pellet grill for ease of use. And, if someone doesn't have the time, or it's difficult with some cookers, it takes a lot of learning your fire, because you got to kind of maintain an even temperature. And it's just, a pellet grill makes it really simple. I'm a big fan of, there's a company in Texas called Fiesta Spices. It's on Bolners, Bolners, Fiesta Spices. And a friend of mine turned me on to them years ago. They have vast array of different types of rubs and seasonings. They have a brisket rub. They have a lot. They have a MSG free line as well if people are trying to avoid the MSG. But they have a brisket rub that's very, very good. And if you get a large container of that and pretty much just, if you have a full brisket, if you pretty much put maybe a pound of that on the brisket, rub it in really good, let it sit in the refrigerator overnight, it kind of helps pull moisture out of the brisket, and that kind of helps to give you more bark. And then, like Ed said, the key to it's the get it up to 160, 165 and pull it. If I have the time, actually wrap it, pull it, and maybe even put it in the refrigerator overnight and then finish it off. You can actually finish that off in the oven because by that point in time, it's gotten about all the smoke penetration it's going to get. But then I tend to prefer carving, so I usually go for about 205 degrees. I tend to go more towards pulled for pork and carved for brisket. The key to it really is that you got to get the temperature up, and then you've got to let it cool back down because you have to move those juices through. The way I understand it, like brisket at one time was basically a trash meat that was pretty much wasted because it's kind of tough if you don't cook it properly. And then people kind of started experimenting with different cooking techniques, and then it became almost a delicacy over time. With pork shoulders, it's kind of like put it good side down, give it 4 hours maybe, and then flip it skin side down, and then you can kind of almost just kind of go to bed and let it finish off.
Well, I don't know if the audience is hearing what I'm hearing, but I'm hearing like we got some guys that know how to cook, that know how to grill, know how to use a smoker, know how to use temperature, know how to use seasonings, and making my mouth water, just sitting here talking about it.
As far as wood, Ed was talking about, from where I am, we have a lot of red oak. And and I had friends that they insisted that the best thing for brisket was blackjack oak. And they always wanted to have just a tiny little bit of the bark included in because they insisted that a little bit of the bark added in gave it a little bit of different flavor. And we tended to use like the fruitier woods, maybe like an apple or a pecan, something along those lines, or maybe peach, apple, pecan, but maybe just a little bit of that added in. But the primary wood would usually be red oak, maybe hickory, but more so oak.
Interesting. Y'all have a lot more talent with that than I do, but it all sounds really good. I may have to make some road trips over to your areas, and Ed, I'll have to bring some Duke's mayonnaise with me when I come to your area, and we'll make sure you get some shipped to you though, because you're not going to want to use anything else. I'm just telling you. All right, so we got how it's cooked, we got the rub, we got what kind of barbecue we're thinking about when we talk about barbecue versus brisket. We've talked about our sauces, vinegar base versus like a Sweet Baby Ray's. That's like the most popular store purchased one. But along with barbecue, there's got to be a side dish. What is your side dish when you're making barbecue?
I have two now. I used to only have like really one. Potato salad is the main side dish, really. But my wife, we tried Mexican corn one day at the side of the road, trailer kind of deal. They were cooking off the side of the road, and it was Mexican corn. And it was mixed with mayonnaise, Parmesan cheese. I'm going to kill this name, but some kind of tiki seasoning. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but tzatziki. Thank you.
Tzatziki sauce.
And she makes it now at home, even as a side dish now with some of the pork chops, steaks. She'll make it with those even now for a side dish. She kind of picked it up and kind of figured out how all the combination went together where it tasted just like that. But yeah, that Mexican corn is really good, and we never had corn with mayonnaise before, so it was really like, I'm not sure about this. But once we took the first bite, it was like spot on. And she makes a really good potato salad. She knows I like mayonnaise, but she uses mustard in hers, but it's just a preference thing on that part. But Yeah, she makes
See, that's
really
a whole different
good potato
conversation
salad.
right there on how you make your potato salad.
Oh, I know. But yes, those are my two favorite sides now. You can't go wrong with smoked mac and cheese or baked beans with the sweet baked beans. It's we cook a lot on the smoker with that too. So, but yeah, the smoked macaroni cheese is fantastic also. But right now, our favorite is the Mexican corn for the side dish.
I do love some Mexican corn. I have to say that as well. Guys, we're right up against another break, but on the other side of the break, Robert, you've got to chime in and let us know what your favorite sides are. And then I'll just go ahead and spill my secret that you're probably going to say, I've lost my Southern card again. So we'll be right back here on TNC Radio Live with more from Robert and Ed on the Southern Route.
Do you feel like you're facing more than just the physical road ahead of you? Are you wondering if there's more to life? Join Ron Fraser, the host of Truckers Life Radio, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, where he discusses the spiritual side of a driver's life. On the show, he goes through the spiritual and moral questions drivers face on a daily basis, helping you, the driver, as you travel life's highway.
TNCRadio.live, your commercial driver navigation station.
I'm Hope Savara. Join us on TNCRadio.live at 7 p.m. Eastern with Building Strong Minds with your host, Dr. Christopher Cortman.
Don't forget, you can hear all of our TNC Radio primetime shows again on our podcasts. Just go to tncradio.live/podcasts or search for tncradio.live wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, y'all, we're back for our final segment on the first day of summer here on the Southern Route on tncradio.live. I've had an awesome time with my friends Ed and Robert talking about barbecue this week, and Ed was just telling us about his two favorite sides, and one of those was Mexican corn, so mayonnaise with corn. And Robert and I have totally agreed that he's not actually had corn with mayonnaise because he's never had Duke's mayonnaise. So we're going to remedy that situation and have some shipped over there to him. So you'll have to let us know what corn with real mayonnaise actually tastes like once you get it. So be sure and keep us posted on that. Robert, I got to know what your two sides are that you always have to have when you are having barbecue.
Well, now that our fact checker Shannon has corrected me, I never realized that Duke's was actually made in South Carolina, but I just read the jar and the corporate headquarters were in Virginia. But mayonnaise comes into it when you're talking about barbecue. And when you asked earlier what I put on a sandwich, it depends on what type of sandwich it is. If you're talking about the finely pulled barbecue like you have at a family get-together where you scoop it out and put it on the bun, the coleslaw. And the key to that is it's all about the grating of the cabbage. You have to get that goofy rectangular metal grater with the handle on the top, and you have to use it's got a side for finer grating, and then it's got maybe four sides that give you a couple. But anyway, the side with the
one you find in the antique stores these days.
Pretty much, yeah. I've seen them in some nice stores from time. Once in a blue moon, you'll find it in the odd grocery store. They'll have a little section of pots and pans, and they might have one there. And you have to use the larger holes, the side with the larger holes, because it's all about the consistency. And you get a good head of cabbage and tear off the dried up outer leaves, and you cut it in half. And then you kind of want to use a very, very firm pressure, a fairly significant amount of pressure, because you want rather large flakes of the cabbage to come off, because it's all about the size and the consistency. You want a kind of an even consistency so that it absorbs the Duke's mayonnaise properly. And then you mix in your Duke's mayonnaise and white vinegar, some salt and pepper, and then you throw in some apple cider vinegar for a little bit of flavor. And put in the mayonnaise until it's kind of thick and you get the right consistency, and then add the other stuff to taste, because you're never going to have the same amount of cabbage every time or whatever. But there's something about that grater that makes the perfect size, because then if the cabbage is too fine, it turns into kind of a puree and gets soupy, and it doesn't have a good texture. It doesn't maintain the crisp, crunchy little cabbage flakes. But then if the cabbage, some people like almost julienne the cabbage, and then it messes up the consistency, and it doesn't absorb the mayonnaise. And actually, it's better after you make it if you put it in the refrigerator and let it sit, because then it kind of macerates, and the cabbage has a chance to kind of absorb those flavors and everything. And of course, potato salad, and everybody has their own recipe that they want to argue about. But potato salad, coleslaw. If you make that coleslaw up correctly, it's almost a side dish in and of itself. You can almost just eat it just with a spoon. And I've never been a huge fan of the baked beans. Everybody seems to do those, but just more coleslaw and potato salad. That's kind of the gist of it.
I'm with you on that. I've seen my mom and watched my mom make coleslaw my whole life, and she does. It's pretty simple. It's just the cabbage and mayonnaise, some salt and pepper.
As long as you're using Duke's.
Yeah, you got to use
Duke's.
Duke's. I think she actually uses Kraft mayonnaise, but, I got to cut her some slack. But she can use whatever she wants, because, here's my confession. I don't like slaw of any kind. I've tried all different kinds, and I do not like slaw. I don't know if that makes my Southern card, on edge, I might lose it, but I'm not. But potato salad, I'm all in for potato salad.
So with the slaw, is it a flavor or a texture issue?
It's the texture. I'm a texture eater, and I just cannot. And I don't like the crunch. Like in my potato salad, don't put raw onion in it. I cannot stand to crunch down on raw onion. So my mom, bless her heart, anytime she makes potato salad, she makes me my own separate bowl. And she has for my whole life, and I love her for that. Just a couple weeks ago when we had it, she made me my own separate bowl that has no onions in it. And then the main bowl has onions in it, because I just don't like to crunch down on an onion. But I love potato salad. That is my go-to. And I'm not a huge baked bean fan either. I mean, I can eat them, but that's never going to be my first choice. And I'm with Ed on the macaroni and cheese. I can go barbecue, potato salad, macaroni and cheese, and I'm happy as a lark.
Sounds good. But yes, you just lost your Southern card.
Well, you can't like everything Southern, I don't guess. So, but to complete our meal discussion, we have to talk about desserts, because it's summertime. So if you're out and you're smoking and grilling and you're getting your barbecue together, and you got your slaw and you got your potato salad and you got your macaroni and cheese, and you're so stuffed you can't eat another bite, but there's dessert there, and you got to have the one bite that's going to make you sick at the end of the day. What is that dessert?
Apple cobbler's mine. Now, that same little restaurant, she had an apple cobbler, and I said, I ain't never had apple cobbler. I had peach.
Wait. I ain't never had apple cobbler. Correct. That tells you Ed's just not from the South, y'all. He's not from the South. But he's learning. All right, keep going.
I'm learning. So she says, you never had it? And I said, no, ma'am, I never had it. And she said, well, here, let me get you a piece. And she said, here, try this. And if you like it, you want another piece, we'll get you another piece. And I tried it, and that first bite, it was warm. And the first bite was like, oh, my goodness, this is what I need right now. And I ate that first piece, and I asked her if I could have another one. And she said, well, you want how big a piece you want? And I said, I'll take the rest of the pie, ma'am. She says, really? She said, yes. I said, I never had nothing that tastes so good than this apple cobbler. And she said,
can you at least tell us what highway this is on? You're somewhere in Mississippi.
It's on 20, and that's the only thing I can really think of. It's on 20.
Okay.
But
Mississippi's not that wide east to west. So
you gotta understand, Robert. All these highways and byways, they all start looking the same when you start traveling. I just don't, I stop when I get tired and if I'm getting hungry, and that's where I wish I could remember, and I tried to Google it and just try to see where it was, and I just can't for the life of me figure out exactly where it was that it stopped at.
Back to stopping every hole in the wall on 20 going through Mississippi.
That's it. Hey, yeah.
One of the listeners will probably call in and tell you.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
That's right. If you know the place he's talking about, send me an email, southernroute@tncradio.com, and send me an email. Let me know where this place is.
Yes, please do, so she can tell me where it's at, because I'd love to stop there again, be honest with you. Back to the cobbler, she says, well, we're fixing close, sir. She goes, I'll tell you what, I'll sell it to you for half price. And I was like, okay. She said, that'll be $5. It's $5. And she said, yeah. I said, this whole pie only costs $10. And she says, yes, sir, it does. And I said, well, I'll go ahead and take this pie. Here's the embarrassing part. I ate that whole pie in one sitting. I ate that piece, and I went out to the truck to get back on down the road, and I ate another piece before I left. And by the time I went to bed, that pie was gone. So it was like a nonstop. Within 45 minutes, I ate that whole pie and cobbler, and it was just I couldn't ask for nothing better. I mean, I wish I said I had one today, because it was the best I ever ate was right there, and that's the first time I ever had apple cobbler. There's my
hooked on apple cobbler
card with the little there's my Southern card with the little nick taken out of it. But yeah, that's my first time, and it was delicious.
Okay, Robert, can you beat the apple cobbler story?
For summer, you think about if you're outside and what's going to taste good. I kind of vote for the banana pudding with, as they always said, Nilla wafers. You got to have the right brand of wafer. It has to be Nilla wafers and the banana pudding, and it's hard to beat that in the summertime. That would be with the good meringue and everything on top. That would be my favorite.
Are you talking hot banana pudding or cold banana pudding?
No, cold.
Some people,
I don't think I've ever had hot banana pudding, to be honest with you.
Have you not?
I don't believe so. I didn't know they made it that
hot banana pudding comes out of the oven, and it has a meringue on it. It's warm, and that's how my best friend likes hers. And that is not at all how I make mine. Mine is
I thought you were supposed to
cold.
chill it before you served it.
Well, probably so, but she likes hers warm, and I don't like it like that at all. Now, mine doesn't even get cooked. She's from here in Alabama. We grew up together here.
Okay.
But mine doesn't even get cooked. Mine's not even a cooked banana pudding, but that's probably one of my favorite summer recipes for dessert as well. Yeah, we take that out to the lake a lot. And definitely Nilla wafers. Don't be buying the off-brand on the wafers. We can't have any of that. Well, y'all, our hour is already up. I can't even believe it, because we could just keep talking. There's still other stuff that we could cover. So we may have to revisit this another time and keep talking about some other stuff. I've enjoyed it, and I appreciate you all joining me today on this first day of summer and sharing your recipes and the way you cook and the rubs that you like and sides. And you really made me hungry, and really looking forward to some summer food.
Well, Shannon, thank you for having us. It's been a real pleasure. Yes,
it really has. I was excited and honored.
And we really
I appreciate that.
Everything you do
you
for
guys
the
are
and helping us out.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, and I always enjoy talking to you guys. And so thanks for coming on and sharing with us. And y'all, I hope you have a great first day of summer. I hope you're already thinking about what you're going to plan to eat all summer long, and maybe we've given you some good ideas or some new things to try. And we'll catch up with these guys later. Appreciate you guys joining us for another week on the Southern Route here on TNC Radio Live. And we'll talk to you next week. 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 And we'll